The piece ran in chunks over weeks, stirring up a storm across North Carolina. Even though most of the guys called out were long gone, it laid bare the web of clout that had kept them safe for years. It added fuel to the rising fire that would spark the Civil War down the line. No byline hit the page, but anyone in the know spotted the penmanship right off. One stretch came in Mercy's neat, measured lines, picked up on the sly back when she was a girl. The rest flowed in William's polished stroke, shaped by years of schooling. Side by side, they'd made sure the nightmare at Pemberton House stuck in the light. That grace, along with the 43 other lives, spelled out in the Order's grim record book, got their due. That meanness, backed by pull and easy status, couldn't hold forever. That the ones with nothing could still rise up. And that payback, even if it dragged its feet and came out rough around the edges, had a way of showing up all the same. In the sweltering heat of July 1852, Harrison Pemberton dropped a bombshell that left the upper class of Beaufort County, North Carolina, frozen in shock. He declared that his son William, a 26-year-old tipping the scales at close to 340 pounds, would now answer to an enslaved woman named Mercy. Not just for help around the house, or company, no. She would have full control over him in every important aspect of his life. The white folks in New Bern were up in arms, outraged by the idea, but they had no clue about Harrison's real intentions, or the dramatic changes Mercy would bring to William's body in the months ahead. Come January, doctors who checked him out were outright scared by what they saw. 9 men had died under strange conditions, and Pemberton House was reduced to smoking ruins and blackened wood. So, what exactly went down between that enslaved woman and the plantation owner's son? What did she do to transform his body so badly that people who saw it ran away in fear? Before we dig into this chilling story, make sure to subscribe, tap that notification bell, and drop your country in the comments. Alright, let's head back to the start of this whole mess. Summer hit Beaufort County like a heat wave that wouldn't quit. The river wound slowly through the flat coastal lands, its muddy water loaded with dirt and hidden stories. Tobacco farms covered thousands of acres, with hundreds of enslaved workers toiling in the rows from dawn till dusk. This was big money built on pain, riches pulled from exhausted bodies and crushed hopes. Pemberton House controlled 1,200 acres of top-notch farmland. Its owner, Harrison Pemberton, wasn't just rich, he held real power. He owned 127 enslaved people, which put him right at the top of the county's leading families. The Pembertons had roots in North Carolina, going back to 1720. Their family name tied tight to state politics and trade. They ran tobacco storage houses, managed shipping paths, and had judges and lawmakers in their corner. Harrison tied the knot with Victoria Blackwood in 1825, a smart match that joined 2 big plantation families and doubled their land. Victoria was a sharp, no-nonsense type who ran their home like a strict budget sheet, weighing every conversation for the best social or money payoff. She passed away in 1828 while giving birth to their one and only kid, a boy they named William. For 26 years, Harrison brought up William in a bubble of luxury and laziness. The kid got protected from real effort, rules, or any fallout from his actions. Harrison dumped his fortune into keeping William's days easy. Maybe to make up for losing Victoria, or maybe from some odd idea of what a rich life ought to be. Harrison was a sturdy guy with wide shoulders who still pitched in with his supervisors, checking the crops and poring over financial records with close care. His face carried the lines from years under the sun, and his eyes stayed keen and thoughtful. In deals, he had a reputation for being tough, but honest, at least by the standards of plantation life. He stuck to his promises with white men, settled his bills, showed up at church each Sunday, and recited Bible verses, smoothly like someone who'd turned faith into a tool to excuse all sorts of harshness. His son William had turned into someone Harrison both felt sorry for and looked down on. At 26 in 1852, William weighed almost 340 pounds. His frame had ballooned from non-stop overeating in a routine empty of goals or movement. He passed his time holed up in his quarters, buried in books of fiction, digging into fancy dinners, and dozing away the afternoons. Doctors labeled it melancholia, waves of heavy gloom, broken up by bursts of anger where he'd smash chairs and yell himself hoarse. The year before, he'd gone after one of the house slaves, hitting her so hard she went deaf in one ear. Harrison covered the medical costs and never brought it up again. The white crowd in Beaufort County gossiped about William with fake concern. Poor Harrison Pemberton, stuck with a boy who'd never make good. Such a shame for fine stock. But they didn't know the real deal. They had no idea what William had pulled off at 17, or that his so-called sadness wasn't sickness, was the crushing load of shame from something so awful it had cracked his mind just to hold it in. The letter showed up on July 9th, carried by a trusted writer. Harrison tore it open in his office, figuring it was word from his cotton buyer in Wilmington. Instead, he pulled out 4 sheets of thick paper, sealed with dark wax and stamped with a mark that chilled him, a snake, eating its own tail wrapped around a ring of spikes. That was the sign of the Order of the Crimson Crown. This group wasn't some casual club or trade network. It ran much deeper and uglier. 17 guys who met in the shadows to carry out ceremonies they thought gave them control over living and dying. They blended old European magic with tricks borrowed from enslaved folks, skilled in root work and hoodoo. They figured that by taking in the frail, they got tougher themselves. Not in some poetic sense for real. Harrison joined in 1830, brought in by Victoria's dad. Over 22 years, he'd shown up to maybe 60 of their meetings, taking part in stuff that would have gotten him strung up if anyone found out. But the order watched out for its members. They pulled strings in the courts, owned the lawmen, and had ties straight to the governor's place. The note said he was in hot water. Word had leaked about their doings. Someone was spilling secrets. Fingers pointed at Harrison because of his son's wild outbursts. During one rage, William had been heard yelling about blood, ceremonies, and details only insiders should know. The order wanted solid proof of Harrison's loyalty and a way to shut William up for good. He had to hand his son over to total command of one of his own, enslaved workers, a woman, to be exact. William would lose every perk, get handled like belongings, and face whatever routine she picked. This setup would last 6 months. Harrison needed to broadcast it to Beaufort County's big shots, calling it an extreme cure for his boy's weight issues and head troubles. The embarrassment would hit hard in a world where white men, above all rich ones, sat at the top of everything. Harrison would basically say his son ranked below an enslaved person, but play along, and the order would block any probes into their group. Say no, and he and William would vanish, their ends staged as mishaps. Harrison stayed up all night in his office. He ran through his choices, even though there weren't any worth a damn. The order had wiped out men before. Whole families turned up gone from fake outbreaks or house blazes. Turning them down meant the end, or he could trade his boy's pride to keep his own neck and status safe. By lamplight, he scratched out his okay and sent it off before the sun came up. 3 days on, a follow-up note landed with the details. Mercy, 38 years old, born right there on the Pemberton place, her talents covered delivering babies, plant-based cures, and what they delicately called spiritual ways. Her nature.com, compliant, and sharp as a tack. What the note skipped was why they picked her, that her spot in this plan was no fluke, that she nursed her own fierce hunger for payback, and that she'd been gearing up for just this shot for 17 years. Straight Barcy came into the world in 1814, child of a woman called Abigail, who handled cooking at Pemberton House. She grew up inside the big home, picking up reading and writing by peeking at young Harrison's lessons. That kind of learning was banned and risky, but Abigail nudged her along in secret. sure that smarts were a shield no one could snatch. Mercy picked up more than the alphabet. From her grandma, she got the know-how on plants and remedies that could fix or wreck just the same. From the elders who held on to African ways, she learned hoodoo, traditions handed down no matter how hard folks tried to erase them. By 20, Mercy was the go-to for births and fixes on the farm. She brought kids into the world, patched up hurts, mixed up treatments that even the white docs had to nod at for working. She counted as prime holdings, so she got better treatment than the field crew, a spot of her own to sleep, freedom to roam the grounds, but she stayed owned goods, open to all the meanness and shame that came with it. Back in 1843, at 29, Mercy had a girl named Grace. No one owned up to being the dad, or put a name to it. Someone from the Pemberton setup had forced himself on her, but she kept quiet about who. Grace turned out bright and full of wonder, just like her mom, with those same deep eyes and fast grin. Mercy poured every bit of her heart into loving that child, a love so strong it scared her, knowing full well how owners could twist it to break you. Then, in 1849, Grace hit 6 years old. William Pemberton was 17 by then. He'd already built up his wild hungers for grub, booze, and lashing out. One fall day, with Harrison off handling business, William had been hitting the bottle. He crossed paths with Grace, who was kicking around by the main house. Nobody ever laid out loud what followed. 3 hours later, they pulled her out of the tobacco shed, her little frame smashed beyond repair. The brutality of it left even the tough field bosses looking green when they found her. Harrison got back to a place thrown into uproar. Mercy was screaming her lungs out, desperate to get to her little girl's body. But the other enslaved folks held her back tight. They all knew that laying a hand on a white man even in the middle of heartbreak could get you killed on the spot. William was holed up in his room by then, still drunk out of his mind, his clothes soaked in blood. Harrison handled it all with ice-cold speed. He ruled Grace's death an accident, saying she'd slipped from the barn loft. William got shipped off for 3 months to a cousin's farm up in Virginia, supposedly to shake off the shock of seeing such an awful fall. When he came back home, nobody breathed a word about it ever again. Mercy got 1 week to mourn, then it was straight back to her duties. No service for Grace, no stone to mark her spot, just a tiny patch in the slave graveyard. The dirt turned over and left behind like it never happened. For 3 straight years, Mercy carried that pain deep inside, like a slow burn she couldn't shake. She kept on with her job, bringing new babies into the world, nursing the sick back to health, forcing a smile whenever it was expected. But deep down, she was scheming, holding steady, soaking up every bit of know-how she could. She picked up tips from the older women who practiced root work on how to brew drinks that could shift how a person's insides worked, mess with their head, even make them spot things that weren't really there. She figured out which plants could patch you up and which ones could do real damage, which mixes helped like medicine and which could end you flat. Most of all, she learned how to bide her time. When Harrison showed up at her cabin door on July 12th, Mercy knew right off the bat that her chance had landed. "Mercy," Harrison said, planted right there in her doorway, "I've got a strange ask for you." "Yes, Master Pemberton." She kept her gaze down low, her stance all proper and yielding. "My boy William's not doing well. The doctors haven't fixed a thing. Word is, you know cures, they don't. I handle some remedies, Master. I'm putting William fully in your hands. You'll call all the shots on his everyday schedule, what he eats, what he does. You'll take any steps needed to get him right." Mercy's pulse hammered away, but she held her expression steady. "Master, I don't follow. You mean more than just looking after him. You'll have full say over him. If he bucks your orders, you tell me, and I'll back you up. This is medical care, got it? Out there kind of care, but it has to happen." "For how long, Master?" 6 months. Come January, I want real changes in how he's doing. Mercy gave a slow nod. I'll give it everything I got, Master. You'll do better than that. You'll pull it off? If you don't, it'll go bad for you and for William both. Once Harrison was gone, Mercy dropped into a chair in her cabin and let one raw feeling loose. Tears rolled down her cheeks, not from worry, but from the thrill building up. She'd just been handed power over the guy who'd killed her daughter. She'd gotten the green light to take any action she saw fit. Grace was going to get what was coming to her. At long last, after 3 years on hold, payback was on the way. She dragged a little wooden chest out from under her bed. Packed inside were twists of dried plants, chunks of roots, fine dusts in tiny glass bottles, some meant to mend, others for different ends. She picked out a few with care, then started blending a strong liquid mix. That would kick off William's big shift. This wasn't going to wrap up fast. This wouldn't show any kindness. This would be step-by-step pain, planned out sharp, so William would grasp exactly what he'd stolen from her. She kept at it all night, whipping up doses and mapping her moves. By first light, she had it all set. Her kickoff day with William hit on July 14th. Harrison had laid it all out the night before at a fancy supper gathering, leaving the crowd there stunned. Now, at 8 a.m., Mercy planted herself right outside William's quarters up on the second level of Pemberton House. She rapped hard on the door. Nothing. She knocked once more. Go away. William's words came out thick, mixed with leftover sleep and annoyance. Mercy pushed the door open and walked right in. The setup was something else, a big sleeping space, a spot to lounge, even a private work area. But it was a wreck. Garments tossed all over. Grimy plates piled up on tables and shelves. The smell hung thick, sweat from days without a scrub, and the stink from the waste bucket. William sprawled across the bed, his huge build spilling over the special-built frame. He squinted her way with small eyes buried in his puffy cheeks. Who are you? He barked. I said go away. I'm Mercy. Your father put you in my charge. Under your, he busted out laughing, a sloppy, nasty rumble. You're enslaved. My father wouldn't stick me with an enslaved person's watch. All the same, Master William, that's how it's set. I'm here to get you on track to better health. I don't need fixing. I need eating. Fetch my morning meal. Ham, eggs, biscuits, gravy, and coffee loaded with cream and sugar. Mercy crossed to the windows and yanked back the thick drapes. Sunlight poured in bright. William yelped, flinging an arm up to shield his face. Shut those. The glare stings. When's the last time you stepped out of here, Master William? Beats me. A week back, maybe a month. Why's it your business? When's the last time you cleaned up? His cheeks went red. That ain't for you to ask. Now, get my food. Mercy swung away from the glass and locked eyes on him straight, no dodging like most enslaved people did with whites. No. The one word just sat there in the quiet. William gawked at her, flat out stunned. What did you just say? I said no. That meal's off the table. You'll eat what I fix for you. You don't get to say no to me. I'll get my father to lash you. Your father handed me the reins on you. If you push back on what I say, he'll step in to make it stick. That's word for word from him. William's jaw worked open and shut. He wasn't used to hearing no from anybody, least of all from an enslaved woman. This is nuts. Some prank. No prank, Master William. Your father thinks you're heading for an early grave from all the extra weight and bad ways. He's given me 6 months to turn it around. I'm not on my way out. Mercy stepped nearer the bed. Can you climb stairs without huffing to a stop? Can you spot your own toes when you're up on your feet? Can you lean down to knot your laces? When you're out cold at night, do you jolt awake gasping, like air's cut off? William's color drained a touch. Every bit of that rang true. Your body's giving up on you, Master William. Your heart's working overtime with each thump. Your knees and hips are wearing out under the load. In 2 years, maybe sooner, it'll be over. Likely in your sleep, your ticker just quits from the strain. Doctors never told me that. Doctors feed rich men the lines they like. I'm laying out the facts. William fixed on her, catching a glint in her look that threw him off. This woman didn't flinch around him. This woman eyed him like his number was up. What are you after from me? His tone dropped low, shaky now. I want you up out of that bed, scrubbed clean, in fresh gear, and down below for the breakfast I've got waiting. Then we start your plan. And if I say no, then I tell your father you said no, and he makes sure I get heard. I can't guess how he'll do it, but I bet you don't care to test it. William waded over. He could dig in, yell for his dad, kick up a fuss, but that even look from Mercy said it'd blow up bad. And under all his tough talk, fear gnawed at him. Fear of checking out young, fear of what his own flesh was doing to him, fear of the ugly shadows rattling in his head. All right, he muttered at last, but this won't last. Once my father clocks how dumb this is, it's done. Maybe so, Mercy replied. Now move. Your bath is swarming up. Hauling William from bed and down to the lower level dragged on for 2 full hours. His size made even basic shifts wipe him out. Just shuffling from his sleep room to the wash area, maybe 30 feet had him wheezing and dripping sweat. He paused 3 times. The soak turned out plain embarrassing for him. He couldn't scrub his own back or get to his toes. He had to let Mercy and 2 guys from the house staff lend a hand, all of them keeping it cool and businesslike while he sat there exposed. By the time he was buttoned up and tackling the steps down, it was pushing noon. Every footfall hit him like fire. His knees hollered. His spine throbbed. Sweat streamed off him, even in the milder morning air. When they hit the eating room at last, he flopped into a seat, sucking wind. Mercy slid over a dish, 1 boiled egg, a thin slice of plain toast, half an apple, a mug of thin tea, no sugar, no cream. William eyeballed it, like it was poison. This is supposed to be a meal. This is what your system calls for right now. I'll waste away on that. No, Master William. Your system's been short on the good stuff while you stuffed it full of junk. Short on real fuel, on getting around, on having a point. This starts setting it straight. He itched to fight back, to holler for his normal spread stacks of platters jammed with cuts of meat, rolls, sweets. But the plain effort of the wash and the trek down had drained him dry, and against his better judgment, he felt a spark of interest in this woman who didn't back down from him. He picked at the small spread bit by bit. It didn't pack him out, but it took the edge off the empty ache. What's next? He asked once it was gone. Now you take 30 minutes to sit tight. Then we head out walking. Walking where? Around the place. Out in the open. You need to get the blood moving, breathe clean air, catch some sun. I can't go far. You saw the stairs about did me in. Every stroll wore William out completely, leaving his muscles sore and his chest heaving, but Mercy picked up on a shift right away. Day by day, his gripes got shorter and fewer. His breaths, though still rough and heavy, didn't sound quite so panicked. His cheeks stayed pink from the effort. Sure, but not that scary deep crimson anymore. The food stayed light by what he was used to, but Mercy planned every bite with real thought. She loaded him up on good proteins, eggs, bits of chicken or fish in small helpings. She added veggies, some steamed soft, some crisp and fresh. Fruits rounded it out. Bread got cut way back, just a little now and then. Sugar got nixed, almost total, and booze. Not a drop allowed. That first week, William kicked up a storm about it non-stop. He tried slipping extras on the side, slipping cash or promises to the house staff for secret snacks. Mercy caught wind of it every single time. The folks working inside stuck by her more than him. And each slip-up meant she shaved off even more from his very next plate, as a lesson. "You're putting me through hell," he grumbled one afternoon, as they trudged along the path. "No, Master William. I'm showing your body the basics. It missed out on all these years." "Like what?" "That easy living and stuffing yourself full aren't the road to feeling good. That your frame's meant to be looked after like any useful gear. That you've got more strength in you than you ever figured." He shot her a puzzled glance. "Why bother? Why push me to find it? I'm the one who owns you. Well, my dad does, anyway. What's in it for you to fix me up?" Mercy paused a beat, picking her reply with care. "Because your father told me to, and because this is what I do well." It wasn't the full story, but it held water. She was sharp at her craft, and she was sticking to the rules laid out. What kicked off after that? Just her acting on a whole other set of rules. The kind Harrison Pemberton never dreamed up. That evening, once William had crashed out from the day's drain, Mercy slipped a twist into the brew she set aside for his next morning's tea. She'd pieced it together, slow and sure, measuring out roots and leaves in exact hits. It wouldn't touch him wrong, not at the jump. It would just ease his thoughts open a crack, leave him open to nudges, pull up stuff he'd shoved way down deep. Leave that buried shame more raw under all his show and his endless munching. Week 2 rolled in, and William's shifts went past the skin-deep ones. He started pulling in wild dreams, the bad kind that jerked him awake in a sweat, head spinning. He caught glimpses out of the side of his sight shapes that didn't fit right. Outlines that vanished clean when he whipped around for a real look. He brought it up to Mercy on their morning loop. "I'm spotting stuff," he said. "Stuff that's not even there." "Like what sort of stuff?" "Hard to pin. Folks, I guess. A kid, a little girl. She's off in the distance, always keeping tabs on me." Mercy's chest tightened up, but she locked her face steady. "What's this girl look like?" "Can't get a good fix. Dark curls, tiny build. She comes off hurt, mad, something like that. Sounds like your head sorting through the shakeup from the new eats and schedule. Your system's flushing out junk built up from bad years. That can play tricks on what you think you see from time to time." But William didn't buy it, not fully. Those night hauls ramped up. He'd bolt up 3, 4 times before sunup, dead sure he caught a young voice wailing. He'd pick up chants in some tongue that rang foreign to him. He'd sense folks in his space not out to get him, exactly, but not easing him either, just hanging close, sizing him up. Judging.com Week 3, folks could spot William slimming down. His jowls had pulled back some. His whole build, big as it stayed, was starting to trim. His outfits draped baggy. He pushed farther between breaks on the walks. They looped the full spread of the farm now, close to 2 miles out and back each morning and evening. But the head stuff hit harder, way deeper. William pulled inward, zoning out for stretches, eyes fixed on empty air. He quit beefing about the grub or the treks. He stuck to Mercy's calls without a peep back, and he started firing questions her way. "Mercy," he said one afternoon mid-stride, "how many years you got on this land?" "Born right here, Master William. 38 come this year. Never set foot off it." "No, Master. Any kin?" The ask cut her sharp, like a fresh edge. "I had a girl. Had gone 3 years now." "I'm sorry." It tumbled out flat, empty as a habit. "Are you, though, Master William?" He blinked at her, thrown by the edge in her voice. "Yeah, losing a kid's got to rip you up. It did, it does. Fresh every morning." They kept on quiet for a bit. Then William tried again, words wobbly. "How'd she go?" "Someone took her life." "Who?" Mercy halted dead and met his stare head-on. "You really blank on it, Master William?" Color drained from his face. "Blank on what?" "Grace, my girl, 6 years old. You ended her in the tobacco shed 3 years back." The line sat thick between them, like fog rolling in. William reeled like he'd taken a swing, groping for the rail to hold on. "I know, I don't. It was a slip. She tumbled. No tumble. You pounded her till she was gone. That's a lie. That's not how it went. But his look gave it away clean. Bits were bubbling up, busting past the years of willful blackout, the booze and binges he'd drowned it in. Flashes hit, a scared kid's mug, his fists flying ugly, red on his shirt. His old man's flat tone, promising it'd get squared away. Oh God, he breathed out low. Oh God, what did I go and do? He buckled at the knees, that heavy frame quaking. He heaved up into the dirt, body heaving out more than just a day's bad eats. Mercy loomed there, pity nowhere in her. There it is. You see it now. You get what you are. William craned up at her, wet tracks down his cheeks. I'm sorry. God, I'm sorry. Booze had me. I blacked. I never meant you ended my baby. Sorry, don't fix that. Sorry, don't pull her back. I get it. I get it. Oh God. Yeah. Sobs tore through him now, that bulk of his shuddering with the shame it had stewed in for 3 years. Mercy held off, let it roll. She'd hung on for this beat, and with it here, a cool settle hit her, but no lift, no peace. Owning up wasn't settling the score. Wet eyes didn't square for Grace's breath. When the shakes eased off, Mercy cut in, on your feet. House time? You telling my father? Spilling to the whole place what I pulled. Who'd buy it? An enslaved woman pointing at the boss's boy. I'd catch the strap, get shipped, or worse. You know the play. Then why lay it out? Why drag it back up? So you haul it. So it sits on you daily, what you yanked from me. So it bears down till it breaks you. William hauled up slow, looking beat beyond his 26. What's your move on me? I keep on with the fix. Your father wants you fit. I'll see that through, but the fix runs wide. Body shape's just the start. They headed home wordless. William dragged like a man bound for the rope. And truth was, he kind of was. His hanging kicked off the second his dad handed him to Mercy's lead. That night, Mercy tweaked the mixes. With William's head cracked open now, facing his load square, she could dig in, real. The change would hit every layer. Total overhaul. She tossed in bits to amp his senses, cranked the night visions sharper, blur the line between lights out and day. She stirred stuff to warp his take, turned dark corners breathing, faces popping in the black. Key of all, she worked in a pull from roots. Her grandma laid out once something too thin the wall to the other side. Let the gone ones tap the ones still kicking. Grace had earned her say with the one who took her. And William? He had it coming to stare his mess down. The weeks after, William's switch sped up fierce. His frame kept dropping load steady close to 70 pounds gone by months, close. His wind built huge. He covered miles flat without a hitch. The puff had cleared off his mug, showing lines that could have passed for good looking, if the steady scare didn't cloud them, 'cause William lived spooked now. Those sleep runs. They quit feeling like sleep at all. Grace showed every dark hour. She'd plant at his bed's end, locking on with those black, calling out eyes. No words, but she pushed it all through, hurt, let down. The lost why of a young one who couldn't clock the cruelty crashing her world. Dayside, she trailed him, constant in glass shines, window panes, shade pools, tree skirts, edge of sight flickers. Whip your head quick, she'd blink out, but always close, always clocking, always drilling home his crime. He tried dumping it on his dad. Harrison swung by one early September afternoon, all grins at the shape-up. You pull off a real turnaround, Harrison said, sizing up his boy. Don't even know you anymore. Mercy's hitting it right. Dad, listen, I got to lay this out. I'm catching sights. A kid. She's all over. Harrison's face went stone. What kid, I figure? That enslaved girl. The barn one. That was a slip. Old news. You're dreaming 'cause of the drop in the new chow. Mean zip. But Dad, it comes back clear now. You recall Jack? Harrison's snap cut like wire. Slip happened. Kid dropped. Sad deal. End of. Keep yapping, this forks'll peg you cracked. That's your aim. William just shook his head, clamped. Then cut the crap. Stick to Mercy's plan. Shape up. Pull weight for once. Harrison out the door. William clocked it, solo with his baggage. Dad wouldn't bail him, wouldn't nod the real once. He was pinned with the flashbacks and the shade dogging him. He tracked Mercy that night. She was out in the plot behind the workers' row, picking through the plants as the sun dipped low. Mercy, I got to speak with you. She kept at her task, eyes on the soil, not giving him a glance. What's on your mind, Master William? I'm catching sight of Grace. All hours, day in, day out, she's dogging me like a shadow I can't shake. Good. That one word hit him like a slap, making him pull back sharp. What do you mean by good? I mean it's right, she sticks with you. Right, she keeps shoving in your face what you stole from her. But how's this even going? The gone they don't just pop up out of nowhere. Mercy swung her look his way at last. Don't they now? You grew up in a setup stacked on the backs of folks like me, held down and worked to death. You figure we just fade out clean when it's over. You reckon there's no payback for the blood you all spill. You're pulling strings on this somehow, with those brews you've been slipping me, whatever's in them. I'm just peeling back the cover, Master William, getting you to spot what's been right there the whole time. The split between folks still breathing and the ones who aren't. It's not as thick as you whites make it out. Some of us get that clear. Your crowd pushes it down, tries to wipe it away, but facts stay facts. Cut it off, please. I can't keep going like this. Grace didn't get to go on at all. You saw to that. William dropped to his knees right there. Lay it out for me. Tell me the fix. How do I square this up? You can't square it. No way to square a kid's life snuffed out, but maybe you can give it some point. How? Mercy eased her basket to the ground and turned full on him, locking in. Your dad's tied up in a group, a bunch of men pulling off ugly deeds. They go by the order of the Crimson Crown. William's stare went wide. How'd you catch wind of that? Enslaved folks pick up every whisper in these big houses. We catch talks meant to stay shut away. We spot what you think you've buried deep. I know the ins and outs of those ceremonies your father and his crowd run. I got no hand in that. Dad never looped me, but you know, it's real. William went still, chewing it over long. Yeah, bits here and there. Late night, visitors pulling up. Noises drifting from under the floorboards. There's files on it all, a big book tracking every move, the meetings, the targets, the ones who join in. Locked away in a secret spot right under Pemberton House. What's that got to do with my mess? You after some kind of wipe for what you did to Grace. Lend a hand in tearing down the crew that sets up a world where her end could happen. Pitch in to blow the lid off the order. Won't pull her back, no, but it'll block them from taking another breath. William held her eyes, the pieces clicking in slow. You want me turning on my own dad? I want you putting the brakes on wrong, keeping on. That turning or that settling up? If I jump in, if they sniff it out, they'll end me. And you. Wipe out anybody close. Yeah, most likely. And you're set on that. Master William, they've stripped me bare already. Nothing left that counts. Death don't scare me no more. Does it you? He mulled it, eyes drifting. Mulled the pounds he'd dropped off his frame, but the load still grinding his thoughts. Mulled Grace peering from the dark spots, weighing him, needling him on his wrongs. Mulled sticking to the old rut, or grabbing a new line. No, he said at last. Reckon I'm more shook by dragging this around day after day. Then we're square on it. The week after, they mapped it out tight. Harrison hit the road to Wilmington every other month for his deals. Next run lined up for September 20th. He'd be out 3 days flat, leaving Pemberton House light on watch. Plenty of window to hit the cellar, snag the files, scratch down what they could grab. William's job, spill on the house setup, his dad's patterns, the locks, the order threw around things. He sketched the underbelly from what stuck in his head. He'd poked around down there once, kid-sized, before clocking its real use. He sifted who among the enslaved might back them, who might run straight to Harrison with word. Mercy's job, round up the crew. She felt out the others on the place, words low and tested, checking who held steady, who carried their own fire to see the order cracked open. She lined up 7 solid, men and women who'd buried kids, partners, folks from the order's cuts. They got the stakes clear, but figured the shot at payback topped any end. September 20th dawned. Harrison rolled out at first light in his rig, 2 house hands and the driver tagging along. Word was he'd pull back evening of September 23rd, midnight on September 21st. Mercy and William linked up in the big kitchen. The 7 who'd signed on stood with them. All of you, clock the danger. Mercy checked. 1 slip, and we're all gone. Heads bobbed. Samuel piped up, the one who'd lost his wife to the order 5 years back. We get it. Still showed, then we move. The cellar door hid behind a fake front in the storage nook. William walked them through the trick, thumbing stones in the base in the right order. The slab swung loose, stairs dropping into black. The whiff climbing up hit, thick old blood-crusted, smoke hung stale, a sick-sweet rot underneath. A few choked back heaves. Mercy pushed on, lantern hooded tight in her grip. They picked down slow. Steps cut sharp and tight, sides hugging in. 20 drops later, they hit bottom. The space sprawled huge, 50 feet square, beams thick as trees holding the roof. Ground packed dirt, spots gone black where bad went down. Dead center, an altar squatted flat stone, etched with marks Mercy knew from her grandma's lessons. Marks the order had twisted wrong, circling it, wicks, blades in all lengths, dishes and mugs from stuff Mercy wouldn't stare at long. Walls draped with cloaks, 17 count, black cloths stitched red half-moons. This beats what I pictured, William muttered low. Mercy cut straight to the back wall. From years of side listening sharp, she knew a lockbox sat tucked behind the main drop. She tapped stones like William laid out, and a chunk of wall flipped easy. The side room ran smaller, maybe 20 feet across, smack in the middle, on a wood stand. The big book rested bound ugly in what I'd too much like skin off a man, iron clamps holding it shut. It pulled you in and pushed you off all at once. Mercy cracked it gentle. Sheets crammed with neat script, dates, names, breakdowns of the works stretching to 1809. She scanned, and with every line, the chill built. The order didn't pick off now and then. They ran it like clockwork. Meets every 6 weeks, pegged to moon poles and crop turns. They'd taken at least 43 lives over time, mostly enslaved, but scraps of poor whites, native folks, anybody easy to grab, and the rest cold as a doc's notes, spelling exact the cuts, the steps, the bits they ate in their circle feeds. William hung over her shoulder, going whiter, line by line. Lord, Dad pulled these off. All these guys I've run with my whole stretch. Judge Robertson, Reverend Ashford, Mayor Cunningham, they're straight beasts. Now you get the fight we're in. Mercy said it flat. They put hours into scratching it down. No hauling the book gone that quick, and heads would roll fast. But they could nail the worst of it. They zeroed on fresh meats, ones with breathers still walking, who might face a rope. Names, days, breakdowns, thick enough to prove it wasn't cooked up. Samuel and 2 more scratched while Mercy poked the rest of the nook. She turned up daybooks from single hands, notes on ordered deals, money trails, showing how they propped each other with sweet trades and pull-in seats of power. Dawn was knocking when they wrapped. They'd stacked a pack of proof that could torch the whole crew if it hit daylight, but as they geared to pull out, it hit boots scraping overhead, voices drifting through the main floor. Harrison, back ahead of time. Mercy's blood thumped, but she locked her head clear. William, run the bunch out the root way. Hits the fields clean. You? I'll hold. Keep 'em off the scent. Hustle. William hung a tick, then moved. He steered them to a side chute Mercy'd flagged in her setup, an old bolt hole from the house's early days. They melted into the dark, while Mercy clicked everything back in the lockbox, smooth as new. She was sealing the fake wall when Glow jumped in the main drop. Harrison planted at stairbase, lamp high. Mercy, what's keeping you down here? She turned easy. Hunting roots, Master Pemberton. Some mixes for the work call for cool, shut-in spots. Your foreman said the root hold might stock what I need. Harrison scanned her face, hunting cracks. Mercy held steady, no flinch. Where's William at? Likely crashed in his quarters. Master. Sun's barely cracking. I want eyes on him. Now? They climbed side by side. Mercy's brain spun wild. William had to hit his rack clean. Had to be tucked when Harrison poked. One miss, and it all spilled. They tapped William's door. Harrison shoved in. No tap. William sprawled under covers, breaths deep and even, out cold by looks. Harrison hung there long, then dipped his chin. He's shaping up sharp, real sharp. You put in solid. Thank you, Master. Keep the push. I'm liking the turn. Harrison peeled off, and Mercy counted 30 breaths before easing to William's side. She reached out and touched his shoulder lightly. His eyes snapped open. He hadn't been sleeping a wink. He'd been lying there frozen, heart pounding, while his father sized him up. He's gone, Mercy murmured soft, but that was way too tight. We can't chance another run at pulling together proof. So what's our play from here? From here, we roll out what we've got, but smart, step by step. In the weeks that came after, Mercy pieced together a solid strategy. They couldn't hand their stack of facts to the local law. The order ran the sheriff, the judge, the whole court setup. They couldn't run it in the hometown paper. The head writer was one of them, but papers up in Raleigh, over in Richmond, even Washington, they were options. Federal law folks with no ties to Beaufort County could step in, and up north, groups fighting slavery would jump on hard proof of down south horrors. The trick sat in slipping it all out without getting caught red-handed. William stepped up to carry the load. I can hit the road, he said. Dad's counting on me to take on some deals now that I'm holding steady. I'll feed him a line about linking up with his cotton contact. Once I'm there, I copy it all out and spread it wide, 2 papers, 2 law offices. By the time anybody catches on, the damage is locked in. They'll peg it as you, Mercy pointed out. You won't pull back through these gates. I don't aim to. Nothing waiting but shame and shades that won't quit. Mercy scanned his face close. In the 3 months since, William had flipped inside out. He stood lean now, clocking maybe 180 pounds. Solid build from all the steady walks and the hands-on tasks she'd eased him into, bit by bit. But bigger than that, his head had shifted full. The spoiled, mean kid who'd snuffed her girl was history, swapped for a man who owned his wrong and hunted some way to balance the scales. It fell short. Nothing ever could fill that hole, but it counted for something. All right then, Mercy said. You head out in 3 days. But they'd misjudged how on edge Harrison stayed. On October 15th, the night right before William's ride to Raleigh was set, Harrison showed at Mercy's cabin door. He didn't come solo. 6 other guys trailed him, all order hands, packing heat. Mercy, we got business. She planted in her doorway, chin up, no back down in her stance. What kind, Master Pemberton? About this scheme you and my boy cooked up. He leaned in. See, word got around. Somebody caught your chat about proof and out-of-town papers. You figure you could scheme against the order and stay under the wire? Mercy's gut dropped, but she held her face even. I got no idea what you mean. Save the act. We got the full picture. We know you've been working William, flipping him on me, on his own blood. We know you cracked the cellar and scratched down our files. If you've got all that locked, why stand here jawing? Why not just end it?" Harrison cracked a grin, but it ran cold as stone. "Ending you flat out? Too easy. And I want William front row for what hits when somebody crosses the order. Where's he at? I don't skip the stall. Boys, turn this place inside out." They shoved by her and tore through her little spot. They yanked up the loose boards in the floor and hauled out the copies stashed there. Stacks of sheets laying bare, the orders dirt. Harrison flipped through them, his look turning thunder. "This runs deep, hits hard, but it stops dead right now." He swung to his crew. "Torch it. Every scrap." "No." Mercy threw herself at the pile, but two guys clamped her arms, pinning her while another struck flint to the edges. She watched 3 months of grind turn to smoke and cinders in no time flat. "Now," Harrison said, "where's my son?" "I told you, I don't know." "Then you ain't worth the breath." He tipped his head to the others. "Haul her to the cellar. Ritual kicks off tomorrow night. She fits the bill perfect." They yanked Mercy out of her place. She twisted and swung, but 6 against 1 wore her down quick. They marched her to the big house, down the steps to the cellar, and locked her to the stone slab with heavy chains. Harrison loomed close. "You should have clocked it better. Should have seen you can't buck us. We're the real pull around here, the way things stand, and you're just goods on the block." He walked out, leaving her in pitch black, bound and played out. But he'd slipped big. He banked on Mercy standing solo in her pushback. He blanked at enslaved folks built lines of word and backup that whites never clocked. 1 hour after they snagged her, Samuel had the drop. He passed it quick. 2 hours in, 20 enslaved hands from farms all around knew the score. And William, tucked away in the workers' row waiting out his send-off hour, got the word that Mercy was nabbed. He faced a fork. Bolt now, keep his skin, let Mercy take her hit alone, or dig in, mount a grab for her, figuring it'd likely buy him a box. He ran back the last 3 months in his head how Mercy had remade him, pressed him hard, forced him to face his own rot. How she'd handed him a point bigger than his old easy ride. How Grace hung in the corners, eyes on him, waiting to see if he'd step up when the real test hit. He couldn't ditch Mercy to the end, not with all she'd laid on him. He found Samuel. "I need backup." They got Mercy locked in the underbelly. "We know. Crews pulling together. We're busting her loose. How many in? 30 heads so far. Could tick up by midnight. That won't cut it. Dad'll roll the full order in. 17 packed and ready to drop bodies without a blink. Then we go down swinging. Beats scraping by, owned forever." Right then, William got it deep, what enslaved folks had carried forever. Some ends held your head high better than days without a say. "Then we stack the count high," he said. "I've got a setup." The circle was set for midnight, October 16th. All 17 order guys would pack in, lined up to offer Mercy and hammer anybody who'd backed her play. They figured they stood ironclad, their grip unbreakable. They figured wrong. At 11:30, 37 enslaved workers ringed Pemberton House, tight. They ghosted in quiet, gripping field gear turned sharp axes, scythes, mallets, whatever could swing mean. 3 white hands joined the line, supervisors who'd soured on the whole farm grind, who'd backed the end slavery push in the shadows for years while playing straight. William stuck close. He'd grabbed his dad's hunt gun and shot pouch. He'd pulled one more move. He'd sloshed lamp oil across the main level, heavy around the cellar drop. Midnight struck, and down below the order kicked off their right. William struck flint to the slick. Blaze ripped through the ground floor fast and fierce. Order hands in the hold caught the smoke Thames, scrambled for the stairs, hit a wall of fire, chewing the whole rise. Boxed in tight, William and the rest slipped the kitchen door, the one spot not lit yet. They dropped the back steps to the root hold, then punched through to the main cellar from under. The order crew was unraveling, hunting side doors, hacking coughs as fumes seeped down thick. They geared for a chant, not a scrap. What hit next ran raw and shut. The enslaved bunch gave no quarter, and the ordermen learned quick. Stripped the law and the rank, and they were just flesh that could tear and drop same as anybody. Harrison Pemberton clocked his boy in the rush. William, what in hell? I'm your blood. You quit that claim the day you built me rotten. William shot back. You set this wheel. Now it rolls you under. William fired, not clean through, but to rip and drag the pain. Harrison buckled, hands clamped to his gut, eyes on his setup crumbling literal to heat. The enslaved crew cracked Mercy's chains off the slab. She hung weak from the long haul, locked down, but breath held steady. We got to pull out, Samuel pressed. This shell's folding any second. They piled out the root chute, spilling to the open fields as Pemberton House went full torch. The blaze chewed unnatural hot. Oil on wood, stacked with years of rot and wrung it, all fed the roar. Dawn broke on nothing but black sticks and soot. Hunt teams pulled 17 husks from the cellar hole, cooked past knowing. Word went out as a sad slip. Lantern tip in a late-night deal huddle. Nobody dug too deep. The order had foes aplenty, and those foes let the quiet hold. Mercy and William hit north that same night, 16 other enslaved folks in tow who'd grabbed the freedom shot. They rode the hidden lines, safe spot to safe spot, always a hair ahead of the hunters. They washed up in Philadelphia, where the Pennsylvania group against slavery set them up fresh. Mercy took up delivering babies and patching folks in the free black neighborhood. Word spread on her touch, folks lining for her fixes. She stayed single, no more kids. Grace's echo ran too loud. William turned teacher, schooling free black young ones, chipping at the breaks his kind had carved. He skipped rings or roots too, no chase for everyday setup. He wore his wrong like a load he owed, and Grace's shade, softer up there, still trailed him loose. They kept close, tied by the wreck they'd clawed through and the stand they'd made. Sometimes settling came sideways, not from benches or rules, but from folks backed to the wall who dug deep and shoved back. In 1857, 5 years past the blaze, a bundle landed at William Lloyd Garrison's paper, Fighting Slavery, The Liberator. Tucked inside, a hand-scrawled rundown on the Order of the Crimson Crown, breaking down the rights, the roster, the wrongs. It packs sketches of the Pemberton House underbelly, walkthroughs of the works, and a roll of 17 names.